Alright guys, welcome back to another video on HAIKYU Fly High, and today we are going to do some testing for SP Lev because there's actually a bit of a secret mechanic with his kit which actually makes him broken in my opinion. Now the secret mechanic is not actually part of his own skills. I did mention in one of my previous videos that I'm not actually a great fan of his skills. I feel like it's actually full of traps. I'm not going to repeat it again because it will be like the third time repeating it, but I will link my original video in the comment section if you guys want to understand why I don't actually think his skills are as good as it seems. However, one thing which I always was very much advocate of is basically going to be his deployment bond, because this one with Kenma is essentially like three absolutely broken skills all combined together in one deployment bond. And this was absolutely amazing. And from my testing today, which I will also show you in a bit, this is even more broken than I saw. Okay. Now, just a bit of a refresher on what those three different skills in this deployment bond is. First one is going to be an increase of awareness and reflex by 20%. Next one is going to be whenever you do a perfect receive, you're going to get one stack of a buff called term N. Once you can stack it up to 5 times. And if you actually fully stack it, it can give you a whooping 150% receive power increase and also 50% spike power increase. Okay, so once again, amazing. And then the last one is that all of your players with a quick attacking skill are now also going to give a receive skill. This is once again also broken. You literally add the 5th skill for anyone with a quick attack skill. Okay, absolutely crazy. Now, one thing which I'm not too sure with this is that what's going to happen for setters who have a quick label. I don't know whether or not, for example, Kageyama, who doesn't have a quick spiking skill as self. However, because he is a quick attack character and also he does have like since I set it down, would he be classified as part of the deployment bond effect and therefore also give a receive skill? That part I'm not too sure, but this is potentially something we can also test out later on if we actually get lucky and get him to like do a receive or do a set, etc. But the main thing I want to show you guys for testing is that the team I have picked, there's only one character capable of doing receive, which is Kenma. Everyone else, even though they don't have receive skill, they are going to have a quick attack label at least, and the deployment bond is actually going to give them receive skill, and that includes the bench. Kunami's obviously they're just for stamina, but the one I will eventually use for substitution is going to be SP Osamu, who also only is going to have a quick spiking skill but no receive skill, but that doesn't really matter because the deployment bond will give it to them. Okay, now let me show you guys some actual testing footage. Okay, so here we are just going to play the match as usual, but obviously manual because I want to show you guys in slow motion. I'm going to try to use Suki to actually do as much action as possible so that you guys can actually see what happens with scoring ace buff. Now, one thing you guys probably saw just now is that Hiragami just meant to get a perfect receive. Now, if you remember from Kenma's effect, what happens after you have a touch, which is perfect, you are going to activate both skill 1, because perfect obviously is not bad, and then skill 3 also specifies as perfect. And what this is going to mean is that if the next person now touching the ball have a receive skill, I'm going to get 2 stacks of maintain, as well as 1 stack of maintain from his skill 1. Now, one thing which we probably need to keep a closer eye on is going to be whether or not this is already after the set has been determined, because normally in this game they tend to actually give you like the buff 1 action early because the game kind of already predetermined the next action, because right now I'm only choosing who to spy, not choosing who to set. So it's possible that this has already been accounted for, but nonetheless we can still see what's going to happen. So we are going to now use Suki to actually do the spike. If I am guessing correctly, Kenma will be the one doing the receive, and because I'm choosing Suki to do the spike, what you're going to see here is already a jump by 3 stack. And what this basically means is that even though Suki himself doesn't actually have any receive skills on him, it doesn't really matter because deployment bond between Kenma and also Lev is going to give him this receive skill. So that's kind of why as soon as I chose Suki to be the one spiking, the game is going to register Suki has a receive skill, and therefore I'm going to get extra 3 stat. And that's kind of why the number maintains that jump from 10 to 13. Okay, so now it jumped to 16. Okay, so fine. Take back what I said. The buffs were not given 1 turn early, I think. I think it's probably more the fact that my when I was showing Hiragami was 10 stacks, that wasn't taking into account Kenma will be doing the receive. sorry, Kenma will be doing the set, so therefore you get extra 3 there, which makes it 13. And then because Kenma said that was also perfect, it then also registers Suki has a receive skill, and then it becomes 16. Okay, so I jumped the gun there, but anyway, you get the point. My point is trying to say that the deployment bond between Kenma and also Lev giving a receive skill is going to get activated and also synergized with Kenma's own skill 1 and skill 3. Okay, and this is also going to be an important fact as we move to the second phase of testing. Now, what is the second phase of testing? So first of all, we just meant to score with Suki, so that's kind of why you're going to see the scoring ace appearing on Suki now, because we just meant to score with him. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to very sneakily sub out Lev for a different character, okay? And now before doing that, let me just show you a few things. First of all, Suki is going to have the scoring ace buff, okay? We saw that earlier. I can't actually find it now, but you guys saw it earlier. Yeah, scoring ace buff. Then we're also going to take a look at the global buff, and you'll see here there's in the global buff there's going to be the competitive power up, and the source of this is temp end. That's the temp end deployment bond between Kenma and also Lev. Okay, so from this you can already see that it's going to increase your receive power by 30% and also spy power by 10%, and this can stack up by 5 times. We only have 1 perfect receive so far, so that's kind of why it's only 1. Now what's going to happen if I actually sub out Lev? Okay, here's the part where this deployment bond gets absolutely broken. What you're going to see is that the term end competitive power up is still going to be available. Okay, that basically shows that even after you subbing out SP Lev, whatever deployment bond which was activated before when both of them are on the field are still going to be there. And that is insane because we literally have 3 broken skills already mashed up together into 1 deployment bond. And now, as long as you have those 2 players on the field for just 1 rally together, you are going to be able to enjoy it for the entire match, even if you sub them off afterwards. Okay, this is absolutely insane. And I will show you another example why. Remember, the deployment bond actually have 3 effects. One of them is over this competitive power up, which we see still available. Now the other thing is going to be the awareness and also the reflex bar. So for this one, I'm going to let you guys take note of SP Awesomeness awareness and also SP Awesomeness reflex. Now what you're going to see here is that I already have 5 stacks of maintain. So 5 stacks of maintain is going to give me 50% awareness and 50% reflex. However, where's the other 20% coming from? Because you can see awareness is both add up to 70% and reflex is also 70%. Where's the other 20% come from? It's from the deployment bond. Okay, so this already shows 2 of the broken skills in the deployment bond are still going to be available even after you subbing out Lev. So now let's test the last one, which is basically this maintain stack. Because if the maintain stack goes up again, as we have seen earlier, then that also proves all of our characters which currently have quick attack skills are now also able to have receive skill. Okay, so now let's just quickly test this and confirm it. Oh, also one other thing I forgot to show you guys is the scoring ace. So after we sub out Lev, unfortunately, scoring ace is going to disappear. Okay, so you're not going to see scoring ace on Suki anymore. However, one nice thing is the buff from the scoring ace is still going to be available. And the buff I mean is the buff that will increase the power of the next 2 ball touch. So that one is actually separate to scoring ace because the condition of getting this buff is it only given to the person with the scoring ace. However, once you have received the buff, even if you actually lose the scoring ace, you're still going to keep it. Okay, so this part is actually really, really nice. But now let's get back to the testing for the deployment bond. So what I've done here is just I have done a perfect serve, and here you will see why the maintain stack is already 8. This is kind of what I mean by earlier, right? This game likes to do some of the buff 1 turn early. I'm not sure why the setting. Maybe I jumped the gun slightly there. But basically, or maybe actually it counts towards the next rally because Masuki's spike was perfect. And then it registered my Hiragami is going to do a perfect one. So it gives me 3 extra maintain. I have no idea. It's a bit too confusing. But what I was trying to show you is that at the start of this rally, it was 5 maintain stacked. my Hiragami done a serve, which was perfect because I chose it to be perfect, right? And now you can already see it jumped by 8 stack because regardless of who is going to touch the ball next, everyone's going to have a receive skill, okay? And this, I guess, in some sense also proved that my Kageyama and also Asumu is going to be considered as having quick attack skills because they are also going to have a receive skill now due to deployment bond, and that's kind of why it went from 5 to +3, so now it's 8 maintains that. That's what I believe anyway, but let's just keep on going just to confirm it. So here we have just done a bad block. It went up by 1. Not sure where this one's coming from, but let's see what's the result of this receive. Okay. Never mind. I mean, we have got to clean up all of the maintain stacks now, which is actually probably nicer for testing purposes, so we can actually test it properly. So now I actually test it properly. So once again, we're going to start off with 5 because that's from Kenma's skill returns 2 effect. We are leading right now, so we're going to have 5. I'm going to try to do a perfect serve, and that should give me an extra 3 straight away as soon as I do the serve. Yeah, as soon as I do the serve, it's going to jump to 8. And we saw earlier that maintain stat will completely cleared up. So this once again validates that both Asumu and also Kageyama are now considered to have a receive label. So regardless who's going to make the blocking touch afterwards, it's always going to be a +8. Let's keep on going. Why am I just scoring everything? I want the case where I have a perfect. I want to show you guys what happens with a perfect receive. But anyway, what you guys seen just now is that I have decided to do a normal serve instead. Okay, and with a normal serve, before it was 5 maintain because I started the match with 1 over with a score higher than the opponent, so that's kind of why I started off with 5. Before, when I do a perfect serve, you can see it was jumped to 8 immediately because the game is going to register the next touch, regardless who makes it, it's going to have a receive label, so it will be a +3. However, now because I do a normal touch instead, I'm only going to get the buff from skill 1, which is only going to be 1 stat. I'm no longer able to get this buff from skill 3, which requires a perfect. Okay, so once again, this proves once again that Asumu and Kageyama are considered to have a receive skill. Now let's keep on going. So that was a bad block, which then converted into a bad receive, which then was converted by Kenma's receive skill 3 into perfect. Okay, so this is also very important. So let's take a look at maintain stack now. Right now, we're going to have 3 maintain stack. And why is there 3 maintain stack? Once again, like I said, the game likes to jump 1 step ahead. So we have just had a receive, which was bad. However, it has been converted to perfect. Now, when it was converted, all of the stacks would have been consumed because that's how skill 3 works. However, we're able to see 3 stacks immediately because now that I have done this receive, regardless who is actually going to set the ball next, because it was a perfect touch, and every single player on my team have a receive label. So regardless who is going to touch the ball, I'm always going to get 2 stacks from skill 3 and 1 stack from skill 1, and that makes in total 3 stacks. Okay, and that's kind of what you can already see maintain as 3 right now. So now let's choose Suki to actually do the spike. So what you're going to see here is Kageyama have just done a normal set. Okay, now what's going to happen is you can see the maintains at 5 stack, and the reason for maintain to be at 5 stacks is because remember the spike always carry the same ranking or the same grade as your set. So what's going to happen is that was a 3 stacks of maintain when my Kageyama touched the ball because my previous action for Hiragami receive was perfect. However, my Kageyama's ball touch was going to be a normal one. So that basically means whoever touched the ball next, provided they have receive skill, which I'm going to use Suki to spike. And once again, remember, even though Lev is no longer on the field, because the deployment button is still activated, Suki is still going to count as having a receive skill, and that's kind of why the maintain stat is going to go up by 1. And because the spike always carry the same grade as your set, your spike now is also going to be guaranteed to be a normal spike, and then whoever touched the ball after your normal spike, Once again, my whole team is going to have that receive label. So regardless who touched the board next, I'm also going to get an extra stack of maintain. Okay, so that's where this 5 stacks of maintain is going to come from. It was 3 stacks after my Hiragami's perfect touch. It will be 4 stacks after my Kageyama's set, and it'll be 5 stacks after my Suki's spike. And the reason for this and for all of this to show up so early is because everyone on my team have a receive skill. And that's kind of one of the maintains that will always go up regardless who actually touched the ball. And this also then validates and confirms that even though I have subbed out SPDF out of the match for the time being, the deployment button is still going to be activated. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see from all of the testing why SP Lev is just completely broken because of this deployment bond, okay? And the nice thing with deployment bond is that you literally only need 1 copy of him for it to work. You don't even need any dupes. So I'm going to suggest to everyone that if you have SP Kenma, you should definitely get 1 copy of SP Lev. Even if you just want to play him as a pinch server, just play him as your starting lineup and then sub him out on the second turn, etc. All of them is absolutely fine, but 1 single copy of him is going to give you a guaranteed 3 broken skill for the remainder of the match, even if you choose not to actually use him at all afterwards, okay? Even if you just sub him out, you're going to still get those 3 amazing skills, and this is just completely bonkers, okay? This is already by far the best deployment deployment bond, and the fact that you are still able to enjoy it, even though one of them is being subbed out, absolutely crazy. Highest recommendation, everyone just get 1 copy of SP Lev, and also obviously 1 copy of SP Chem as well, because in order for this to work, you would actually need both of them at least 1 copy to actually activate the deployment bot. Okay, but yeah, that's basically my testing for SP Lev. Let me know what you guys think. Do you also think this deployment bond and the fact that it can still stay on after you sub him out is absolutely broken?